we just finished up our food plot planting. It's June 15th, a little later than what we wanted to. This video was a little different for me because I come from a farm background, so I wasn't completely clueless the whole time. So we wanted to do this in two different ways. One way was because I've talked to a lot of hunters and they only have one piece of equipment, whether that's a tiller or a disc or something like that. They don't have the planter to go in and do things like somebody would really want to, but they still want to put a food plot in. So what we did right here on this side is we took our disc, we worked it up really good, and then we just took a regular spreader and broadcasted the seed out over it, and then actually used the same disc to come back and try to cover the seed. Now, one of the things, the number one question that always gets asked is, how deep do I plant the seed? And it's really hard to control the depth here. Now, when you ask how deep you want to plant the seed, birds eating it is a big problem. So you definitely want to plant it deeper than a bird's pecker. That's rule number one. But sometimes it's kind of difficult to catch the bird and hold his little legs down while you measure. So another thing that really what you need to concentrate on is seed to soil contact and moisture. Now we've got rains coming in the next few days, so that's perfect for the broadcast and teal in system. So all we did was we broadcasted the seed, and then we came back just to cover it a little bit. That gives us good seed to soil contact. Now the second thing is, because it's not very deep, it's basically laying on top of the ground with a little bit of dirt on it. We've got these rains coming in, so therefore our moisture is going to be right at the top of the ground, which is exactly where the seed is sitting. So it's not very deep, but it still has good seed to soil contact. We get that rain in there, and rains will actually push the seed down into the soil further. The mud will come over and completely consume the seed, and then you'll notice it coming up much faster. So we feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about our broadcast and then tilling it over system. Again, we just worked it several times to get the dirt really loose, threw the seed out into the dirt, and then worked it one more time very lightly just to cover the seed. A couple of tips when you're disking or working with anything that sticks into the ground. First, try to get straight before you put the implement down. Anything that goes in the ground, what happens is it goes into the ground, and if you're still crooked on your turn whenever you put it in, you're going to put pressure on that blade, and that's going to really wear out your bearings and loosen your axles, stretch everything out. You won't notice immediate problems, but if you really want your equipment to last a long time and reduce some of your maintenance, it's just a good tip to make sure you're straight whenever you put the implement back down. The other thing that we kind of learned, when you're working something multiple times like we had to here, you don't want to keep going in the same path or the same pattern. So we worked it the first time straight up and down with our food plot. Next time we put a little angle on it, and then the next time a little more angle, and then we went at an opposite angle. And the reason for that is that implement will keep pushing ridges and valleys in the same areas, and they'll just keep getting worse and worse. But if you mix it and switch it up, you'll kind of mix up where your valleys and your ridges are. So that were two old farm boy tips for you there. The second way that we tried to plant our seed is we came in with this planter. Now this is a 2-row planter. We pulled it out of the weeds, nothing elaborate. It's not even a no-till planter. One thing that I didn't like about it is it's too wide. I really want my food plot seed in shorter rows. But again, we're trying to do this, we're working with what we got. So this 36-inch row here, we came back across and we doubled it up. So we went down through there and then we straddled it, made it every 18 inches. We actually had some seed left over and we straddled it again and made our parameters even smaller. So we're really filling in the gaps a little bit better. Again, if you've got the $30,000 no-till drill, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're trying to make it work with the equipment you got, these are just some tips and tricks. When we were no-tilling without any no-till coulters on the back, one of the things that I had to worry about was whether or not we were going to close the gap. So again, going back to seed to soil contact, as we make the mark to put the seed down in the furrow, you can see that it's not closing like it should. Now, I'm not too concerned about this because what we did was we planted our seed shallow, and then again we're going to get that rain and it's going to close it, and because it's shallow it's still going to be able to push through before it crust over. Now, a couple of quick tips when you're using the planting system. One, make sure that the grass is dry. Even a heavy dew, you won't be able to cut through a lot of grasses if it's not dry. Instead, it'll turn into almost elastic-like, and it'll just go in there, and it'll do that, and your seed will sit right on top. And that's not allowing good seed to soil contact, obviously, because there's too much grass in the way. This is heavy even for a no-till situation, but we were cutting through the grass. We caught it really dry. I sprayed this entire area with glyphosate 2 or 3 weeks ago. Then it rained so much that we couldn't get back in to finish out the food plot. But because it was the grass was dead, it was very dry, and it cut pretty easy. I'm pretty happy with this. Again, we weren't filling in the gaps. We weren't closing it really well. So we loosened up, and we made our planter plant just a little more shallow, and that rain will come in and close those gaps for us. And then hopefully we get a good stand. So that's kind of everything. Another tip when using a planter, and you're trying to drive straight, obviously if you're going to make a row and then come back and try to straddle a row, or anytime you make a row, they're just going to look better if they're straight. One trick is to find something far off in the distance to look at. Don't try to use your wheels, don't try to use the hood of your tractor to drive straight. Instead, find something that's stationary. It's important that it's stationary, like a tree or a post or anything, but make sure it's on the other side of the food plot. Don't find a bird, by the way, because it will fly off, then you lose your mark. It's probably still mad that you tried to measure its pecker anyway. So find something stationary, look at it, and drive straight towards it. Now, the last step that we did in the actual food plot is we came in, and after we planted the seed, we sprayed out GYT 90 Plot Start. This is a non-synthetic calcium source. So let's say that you don't have access to lime, you don't have an efficient way to spread lime, or you can't get the lime back to your food plot. This mixes with water, and it provides that calcium. So it's going to replace that need for the lime. Very simple to use. Mix it with water, spray it out. There's not really much to it. It's going to really help your soil if you've got a calcium deficiency or if you need to balance your pH levels. Again, not everybody has the access to lime, so this will provide what you need in that category. So really excited to get this product out and try it. Just to talk a little bit about the seed we planted, it is an experimental seed for another company. I'm not going to give any hints as to who it is, but let's just say they want to help you grow your trophy with a complete line. It's legume heavy, and it's a system. So I don't want to just plant a seed and then go on. So what I like about it is it's legume heavy, it's putting nitrogen back into the soil, so that way the fall blend, the system, whenever I come back and put it out for the winter use, it's going to be able to use that nitrogen, fill in those gaps. I don't have to do tillage again in the fall. And the two systems are going to work together. Put nitrogen in, then balance the carbon to nitrogen ratio. So we've got our where we broadcast it and then tilled it back under and covered it. We've got our no-till, and then we use our lime replacement. And from there, nothing left to do but a little hydration, take a little break, get the equipment put up, and watch this stuff grow and the deer come in. Here pretty soon we're going to have another short video and talk a little bit about tree stand placement over the food plot. And I'm definitely not the expert on that. I did get to use some of my farm boy knowledge today, but I think this might actually be the last opportunity that I have to do that. So thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe on YouTube. Please like our page, Kate Austin, the Deer Virgin. And we're going to be doing videos like this and trying to learn about hunting. Today was farming, but hopefully soon it's all about hunting, and hopefully this fall I get that first deer. Thank you guys for watching.